Welcome to Talking to Crazy, how to deal with the irrational and impossible people in your life. A practical guide for anyone who has ever struggled to communicate with people who seem unwilling or unable to be reasonable. We often find ourselves at a loss when confronted with irrational behavior, responding by avoiding the person, arguing, or trying to apply logic, all of which typically fail and may even escalate the problem. This audiobook invites you to take a radically different approach. Instead of resisting irrationality, learn to engage with it intentionally and compassionately. Dr. Mark Goulston, a renowned psychiatrist and executive coach, shares insightful strategies drawn from decades of experience, revealing why irrational behavior arises and how to address it constructively. You'll discover 14 actionable tactics to navigate difficult interactions, tools for recognizing your own triggers, and practical techniques to foster sanity and collaboration, even in the toughest situations. Whether dealing with colleagues, friends, or loved ones, this audiobook provides essential guidance to help you transform chaos into opportunity and conflict into communication. Key concepts. The best approach for dealing with people who act irrationally is to actively engage with their irrationality, rather than trying to reason with them or argue. Understanding why a person is acting unreasonably and using that insight to resolve the situation is much more effective. Every person occasionally behaves irrationally, including yourself. Becoming aware of your own irrational patterns improves your ability to handle similar behaviors in others. Different circumstances call for different handling strategies. 14 specific techniques are available for these situations. The vital first step is to determine which type of irrational behavior you are encountering. Distinguishing between someone who is irrational and someone suffering from a mental illness is crucial. The methods outlined are designed for situations where the person is mentally healthy but acting irrationally. In cases where someone is mentally ill, professional help should always be sought. Introduction. When people act irrationally, the most common responses are to ignore them, argue, or try to rationalize with them. These strategies usually fail and sometimes even worsen the situation. The key is to understand the reason behind the person's irrational behavior and use that insight to guide them back to a more rational state. The book explains the importance of engaging with irrational behavior and offers 14 techniques, as well as other insights, for managing irrational individuals more effectively. The basics of talking to crazy. In this context, crazy refers not to mental illness, but to the irrational behavior that everyone encounters in daily life from friends, relatives, or coworkers. This kind of behavior includes an inability to see things clearly, expressing beliefs or ideas that don't make sense, making decisions, or taking actions that are against their own interests, acting in ways that are impossible to reason with. There are specific methods that can turn difficult situations around when dealing with irrationality. The fundamental strategy is to engage with the irrational behavior and guide the person through a 6-step process to help them return to a rational mindset. Irrational actions are rooted in brain function, which is influenced by development and life experiences. People who were overly protected, consistently criticized, or ignored as children are more likely to display irrational behaviors regularly, in contrast to those who grew up with encouragement and support. People who act irrationally often follow a certain behavioral pattern, such as manipulator, drama seeker, victim, or martyr. Their actions usually arise from fear or a desire for control. By identifying the specific pattern, you can choose a strategy that helps them feel more in control and allows you to manage the situation more effectively. Sometimes, the best action is to withdraw from interaction with an irrational person, either temporarily or permanently. Using a method of intentionally not responding, reacting, or trying to restore a toxic relationship can help you safely exit and protect yourself. Dealing with individuals with serious personality disorders, such as narcissism, paranoia, or sociopathy, is especially difficult or even impossible. In those cases, it may be necessary to remove yourself from their presence for good. Facing your own crazy first. To effectively handle other people's irrational behavior, it is important to acknowledge and manage your own irrational tendencies. These often stem from negative internal messages, which signify irrational thinking can distort your perception of reality, affect how you interact with others. Identifying and countering these negative mental patterns prepares you to handle irrational people. If you don't, you risk letting others take advantage of your vulnerabilities. 3 strategies can shield you from emotional attacks. 1. Reframe each attack as a chance to maintain your composure. 2. Recall mentors who have inspired your better qualities. 3. Practice an 8-step pause to regain both physical and emotional balance. If you lose control and react emotionally, use a process of acknowledging your feelings, letting your emotions out, relaxing, and shifting your focus. If calming down isn't possible, use the 72-hour approach. Recognize that you're emotionally upset and avoid doing anything for 72 hours to keep from making things worse. After a meltdown, apologizing is essential to repairing damaged relationships. Being willing to reconnect and address the issue is also a vital part of the process. 14 tactics for talking to crazy. Your choice of response to irrational behavior depends on both the other person's style of irrationality and your own readiness to engage with it. The 14 techniques include: 1. The belly roll. Like a dog showing its belly in submission, you display strong humility by letting the other person make decisions for a moment. 2. The AU technique. Offer a genuine apology, express empathy, and uncover the other person's harshest thoughts about you without judgment. 3. Time travel. Move the focus from the present and instead describe a more hopeful future in your relationship. 4. The eye of the hurricane. Direct your attention to the calm, rational part that still exists within the other person. 5. Digging down to disappointment. Don't take the person's words personally. Recognize the deeper disappointment they're expressing. 6. The fishbowl. Make deliberate eye contact to activate mirroring and break through defenses. 7. The split second. When involved in disputes, engage all parties together to prevent blame from shifting back and forth. 8. The 3 L's. Help the other person exit a fearful mindset by leaning in with care, looking at the problem rationally, and leading them toward a solution. 9. The butter up. Compliment stubborn people on their abilities while still pointing out how their actions don't help them. 10. Executive order. Gently require those who act like martyrs to directly ask for assistance. 11. Coup contra coup. Anticipate verbal attacks and state what you expect the person will say to take the sting out of it. 12. The kiss off. Calmly turn down manipulation attempts with a firm refusal. 13. Frenemies. Support people who are negative by focusing on their positive abilities and encouraging better behavior. 14. I know what you're hiding. Stand up to sociopaths by confronting them directly and insisting they leave your life by a specific time. 8 ways to deal with crazy in your personal life. The 14 methods can be applied at work or at home, but using them in close personal relationships can be especially transformative. Here are 8 strategies for managing irrational behavior in the people closest to you. 1. You've lost that love and feeling? Rebuild a close, effective partnership by working together on relationship issues, sharing responsibility, and actively supporting each other. 2. Shock absorber. Provide a safe space for a loved one to release stress and express their deepest concerns without judgment. 3. Copycat. When someone struggles to express themselves, say what you sense they're feeling, then move the conversation ahead. 4. Child A or child B. In the case of divorce, focus on raising a well-adjusted child by working together respectfully and making joint decisions with the child's best interests at heart. 5. What's the worst thing for you? Instead of offering unwarranted reassurance to people in pain, allow them to voice their worst fears and then guide them toward finding solutions. 6. The reconnect. To heal a relationship with an estranged child, own up to your shortcomings, express your willingness to repair things, and find solace in knowing you've done your best, even if they are not yet ready. 7. The assumptive close. When aging parents resist change due to fear or helplessness, Combine decisiveness with empathy to help them feel included in important choices. 8. The 4 H's and 4 R's. Address deep emotional divides by first acknowledging how you were hurt, harbored anger, hesitated to trust, and held a grudge. Then, require an expression of remorse, steps for restitution, proof of changed behavior, and a sincere request for forgiveness with a real apology. What to do when crazy is actually mental illness. There is an important difference between people who behave irrationally at times and those living with a serious mental disorder. Recognizing this distinction is essential. If someone's difficulties are due to mental illness, professional care is necessary. 2 questions matter most. 1. Identifying the right type of mental health professional. 2. Helping the individual agree to seek help. Options for mental health assistance include psychiatrists, psychotherapists, psychosocial rehabilitators, counselors, mentors if the person in need does not recognize the problem or refuses help. You can encourage progress using 5 steps. 1. Invite open conversation and listen carefully, reserving judgment. 2. Empathize with their emotions, regardless of how illogical they seem. 3. Show agreement to lower their resistance. 4. Use your understanding as a bridge to discuss professional help. 5. Work together to begin seeking assistance. If someone's behavior frightens you, or you suspect there is risk of harm to themselves or others, seek help right away. Improving mutual awareness and communicating without judgment are steps everyone can take to promote healthier, more rational behavior. Being willing to open a conversation. Conclusion. As you reach the final chapter of Talking to Crazy, you are now equipped with proven strategies for understanding and responding to irrational behavior in both professional and personal settings. Throughout this audiobook, you have learned to move beyond frustration and helplessness, applying practical techniques that respect both your boundaries and the needs of others. By first addressing your own reactions and then leaning into, not away from, difficult conversations, you can break cycles of hostility and confusion. Remember, sometimes the wisest path is to disengage from toxic situations, but often, using empathy and insight can shift even the most challenging dynamics. Ultimately, whenever faced with irrationality, your willingness to initiate honest dialogue and employ these tools will help promote greater self-awareness, healthier relationships, and a more rational, constructive environment for everyone involved.